This is the professor speaking to you live from a hidden laboratory underneath the campus of WealthCampus.com. And this is a trading week in review for the week starting January 30th and ending Friday, February 3rd. And this is a great quote to start us off. Strength does not come from physical capacity, it comes from indomitable will. So my members will tell you I'm constantly trying to motivate them and inspire them in various ways, and I can't tell you how important that is in this market. How much of an impact psychology and and motivation has in this game if you want to be an aspiring trader. So I'm constantly trying to find ways to motivate, just as a coach would or a mentor would, all of the members at WealthCampus.com. I'm constantly telling my members to try to tune out the white noise, that the only thing that matters is micro first and macro second. And what I mean by that expression all the time is that the charts are more important than your opinion or your own market bias, and that you want to play the tape and you want to play the chart. The chart is number one. And I push that all the time, and I try to get them to stop focusing or watching CNBC or listening to the radio or paying any attention to social media and the people on social media. It will absolutely create a bias in your trading and affect your decision making, and you can't have that, because what then that does is it affects your bottom line. And I bring this up because I couldn't help but sort of giggle at all the silly tweets on Twitter and stock twits and social media over the weekend. A lot of people saying how this market is overbought. Well, I never do this. I actually responded to a couple, and I said, who's telling you this? Because you look at, for example, like this chart of the S&P 500, and this is not a chart that's overbought. I mean, look at where the RSI is here. The RSI is not in overbought territory. If anything, it's curling back up, and we have you know a previous market top right here, and you have some very tight narrow consolidation, and we've seen money moving from sector to sector in this market. It's been a stock pickers market, but what you have here is a very tight ascending base from a previous breakout. And I say this all the time, whether it's in a daily, weekly, or monthly chart, this ascending base usually leads to bigger moves. Well, if you go to a weekly chart, on the S&P, you have multiple things, that are going on the weekly chart. You have an ascending base here, on the weekly, which usually leads to a bigger move. You actually have a very, very tiny miniature head and shoulder pattern here. You have a double bottom in play here. You have you actually have like a very minor cup and handle pattern here. And so you have a lot of different things going on in the S&P on the weekly, multiple bullish patterns. And that minor inverse head and shoulders pattern will take you to 2321. The double bottom will take you to S&P 2365. And if you believe that that's a secondary cup and handle, then that's going to take you to S&P 2459 over time. So I see a lot of people in social media right now. They are very passionate about their politics, and in my honest opinion, they are letting their bias, their political bias, affect their trading and their views of the market, when what they should be paying attention to are their scans and their charts, and merely playing the charts that are breaking out, micro first, macro second. And I've stayed out of this political arena because despite any political bias or views I have, the market does not care about my views. Okay, all that the market doesn't care what I think. and it will humble you very fast. And so the market is, obviously shrugging off anything that's going on, and it's continuing higher. And people need to see that, and they're failing to see that. And you see a lot of discussion in that going on in social media and on TV. And what you need to do is play the tape. You need to play the charts. And if you do that, you will continue to be very, very profitable. And for those people that say, the market's going to crash and the market's overbought, I'm sorry to say there are absolutely no bearish setups at all in any of the indexes at all. There are nothing but bullish setups. And in order for the market to go into a correction, you're going to have to see the S&P sell off to the 50-day and below in order to kill off this bullish trend right now. Now, in February itself, when you hear people talk about the 6 best months of trading, February itself is the weakest of the 6 months. Now, in February, the first 2 weeks are usually stronger than the last 2 weeks. However, right now, based on Friday, what you saw, that was a bear trap. It looked like we were going to start to get into a bull trap and sell off, and then we had a huge day on Friday, and it ended up being yet another bear trap. And based on Friday's trading, it looks like we're going to continue bullishly, very short term. And the reason for the move on Friday was, Trump broadcasting that they're going to rewrite parts of the Dodd-Frank, and that's going to affect financial institutions in a huge way. So you saw Goldman Sachs, the leader. I'm going to type this in. You saw Goldman Sachs make a big move. Goldman Sachs was up very large in after-hours trading on Friday, and this thing's probably going to hit 245 very quickly if it doesn't open up at that spot, and probably trade to 250. And and again, this is a little bit of a bias, and I'm not trading accordingly, but just some throwing this out there as food for thought. Trump met with a lot of the tech leaders about just shortly after the immigration fiasco, and I thought it interesting that after that meeting with the tech titans, not one of them came out publicly and said anything derogatory towards what Trump had just done or the administration had just done, which I thought was interesting in and of itself. And after seeing Friday the Dodd-Frank repeal and reworking, which you knew was coming, as I've been talking to my members, watch for it. I'm kind of wondering if we're not going to see some kind of bill or repatriation act that somehow affects tech companies in the exact same way that it just now revitalized financial institutions. So you need to be flexible, you need to adapt, and you can't allow your bias to affect what it is that you do. So let's take a look at what we did this week at Wealth Campus. So the prior week, I had gotten us into Westlake Chemical Partners, WLKP. I had liked the bull flag setup, and obviously you can see the creation of the flagpole here, and the formation of a bull flag, and the pole was formed on very high volume. So the week before I had got us in, and then sure enough, after the pullback to the low 24s, it broke out. Now I actually sold too early. I actually sold WLKP at $25, but it did go on to hit a high of $25.90. So these are the kind of quality plays that I put my members into. A lot of my members work full time, and I pride myself on always selling into strength. And usually after I sell, to be quite candid, my members can always sell higher than where I've sold. And I try to ensure that I sell into strength, because I know that others may be selling on my alert, and I want them to get at least the price that I received on the equity, or maybe even get a better price. And in a lot of cases, many of my members actually sell at higher prices than what I sell at, and many may not be used to this. Many may be used to being in rooms where low priced, low float, trade by appointment stocks are involved, and many may find that after an alert has been given out, the stock begins to tank, and it looks like it's on an elevator heading down at an express speed, and many probably find that they get out at a much worse price from where the quote unquote guru got out. But here I always sell into strength, and I find that many of my members do as well. So WLKP from the week before, we sold this week for nice profits, and you can see the kind of quality setups that I'm getting my members into. Vert was another stock that I got us into based on the flag formation. You can see the bull flag here. Now I don't, when I see stuff like this, we're not chasing. What we're doing is I have a real-time watch list that I give to members, and we watch for the pullback. So my members were getting in here at this area, and again, I sold this one early. I like to position trade and get the best risk reward setup that I can for my members. So I sold this one early at 1805, and it actually closed at 1855. So I left $500 on the table here, but I made a nice profit off of VIRT, as well as all of my members as well, and some of my members even held, again, for much higher prices than I did. Why? Many of my members work full-time, and I get my members into quality setups. And so if you're in a meeting or away from the computer and you find that there's been an alert that's hit your phone, and you've gotten a text notification that I've sold, 9 times out of 10, I'm selling into strength in a very solid move, and you're going to likely be able to sell higher than where I sold. So both WLKP and VIRT, we actually removed from the model portfolio and took profits on. The reason being is because we were getting into so many other setups that had a lot of momentum, and one of those is STX. And again, and you're starting to see, I think, a theme here, or at least a pattern in these setups. So I got my members, I watched the breakout on STX, and I actually got my members into STX right here, just over the $44 area, and the stock closed at $46.29. And so my members really did nothing but sit on their hands and ride this one last week as we watched it move higher and higher. And now we're up about 2 points on STX, and I was actually holding 1,000 shares. I had a large position in STX because I like the setup and the stock. And so what I did for risk mitigation and to take some profits is I sold 300 shares, or 30% of my position, over the $46 mark for real nice profits on 300 shares. And I'm still holding 700 shares, and I'm waiting for this breakout, which is surely coming. So I'm waiting for the breakout on STX at 46.68. It's a very strong looking stock. You go to the weekly looks very good, and on the weekly I'm actually looking for most likely easily a move here. I would not be surprised to see us touch the $55 or $56 mark over time. Okay, so and we'll continue probably to take profits here and there on the way up and enjoy the ride. And we'll set a trailing stop, and if for some reason the thing wants to reverse real hard, that's fine. We'll take our profits and we'll move on to the next big winner. But STX was another one that we did really well with. Another one that we sort of sat on our hands with is IIVI. And again, you can see a similarity in patterns here, getting my members into very quality setups. And again, big flag, and we bought on the pullback. And so right now this stock closed at 37.10, so we're up over a point already on IIVI. And again, like in STX, I took off 30% of my position. I have a very large position on this one as well, So I took some profits for risk mitigation and to try to control emotions of fear and greed, and I still have a 70% position, and I'm waiting for a breakout of 37.55 on IIVI. Another stock that I got my members into and alerted was ARCO. I really like this one. I like this one on the daily. You've got a great setup here. If I go down here to annotate, you're very close to a breakout. The stock actually touched or almost touched 60.60. It touched a high of $60.57 and closed at 6.50. We're very, very close to a breakout here on the daily. The thing that I like about the daily, I just did a video on this and posted to YouTube. What is, the increasing volume here? You got a high RSI in the daily, and when you jump to a weekly chart on ARCO, I think, in my opinion, the weekly chart, looks even better. You've got an increasing RSI here. It's at 65, so I'm looking for this RSI to touch 70. I like the volume. You've got some nice volume here. The last time you saw, volume days like this were here, and they resulted in big gains. I like the little ascending base here off the bottom. Again, I say this all the time, leading to a big candle. And if I jump to annotate, right here, and again, do a quick trend line here, we're very, very close, in my opinion, to a big breakout. And I like this ARCO. It looks really, really good. This is a great way for smaller accounts to compound gains while they work. You go to a monthly, and I think the monthly is the thing that can get you really excited. You then find out you're dealing with a 2011 IPO that had hit a high of 27.33, and you got that ascending base. Each of these candles represents a month in trading, and you can see we're starting to get some violent behavior. And I would not be surprised to see this stock up in this area over time, probably like the $11 area. And for sure, I think you're going to see, the stock, moving up over the next few weeks. So this looks to me, like a turnaround IPO. And I really like the way this looks. And on the daily and the weekly, we're looking for a short-term breakout. So this has been the Trading Week in Review. We have other positions that we're holding, but I wanted to highlight my thoughts on the market action this week, what the market's likely to do going forward, and then the stocks that I highlighted were stocks that we either removed from the model portfolio, added to the model portfolio, or took some profits in, some shares off for risk mitigation. So you can see the quality of our setups and what we're doing here. So if you like what you're seeing and hearing, or if you're impressed with what you're seeing and hearing, I strongly encourage you, please, to visit us at www.WealthCampus.com. The membership is a $30 monthly membership, and you get a lot of bells and whistles with that $30 monthly membership. And we have a real friendly community, a band of brothers and sisters that leave no one behind, and we really like to help one another out. And so I strongly encourage you to visit us and drop by and give us a test drive, and I'm sure you'll like what you'll see. Have a super Sunday today, and I will see you next week.